Things I got on my Disney World vacation. Sweatshirt, coffee mug, mouse ears, COVID. Hi, my name's Bea. Welcome to my channel, Mama Needs to Read Romance, and recap my wackiest month of reading ever. What a month April was. At first, I did a lot of reading, and then the middle of the month, I was in Disney World, so I did no reading. And then I got COVID, so I did all the reading. I can't wait to bring all of the books I read to you. Now, the week that I'm filming this is also really busy because of the Ever After-a-thon, so I'm gonna be filming this throughout the week. So you're gonna see a variety of styles. Fashion. That's what you think of when you think of me, right? No. But also various settings. So let's get this party started and talk about what happened in April. I read 20 books. 2 books were 5 stars. 2 books were 4.5 stars. 4 books were 4 stars. 2 books were 3.5 stars. 4 books were 3 stars. 1 book was 2.5 stars. 1 book was 2 stars. And 4 books were DNFs. And again, I'll be talking about those briefly just to give you a sense of why I stopped reading. I want to take a moment and celebrate Lovely 8. Thank you for becoming a honeybee just in time for the summer, so you get to enjoy so many of the extra perks for this channel. We are going to be going on vacation. You can find out more here if you're interested, but we're going to be going on a bookish 3-month getaway staycation. And I'm so excited to be your tour guide. So thank you so much for joining the channel, for providing your support. It means the world to me, and I can't wait to bring you all the bonus content. We are going to have such a fabulous summer. Let's start by talking about my 2 5-star books, the first of which is Left a Forever by Tara DeWitt, which is coming out May 20th. This is the second book of the Spoons series, spelled S-P-U-N-E-S. If you're interested in reading this, I highly recommend you read the first book in the series, Savor It, first, because a great deal of the things that are in Savor It are referenced in Left a Forever, and I think it has some spoilers. I haven't read Savor It yet, but that being said, I still, as I mentioned, had an amazing time with this marriage in trouble. Not exactly, they've been divorced for 5 years, but it is a second chance romance like none other. It's epic. We have our hero and heroine. They got pregnant at like 17, married right away. They grew apart for certain reasons, check your trigger warnings, and despite the love that they felt for one another, they just couldn't be together anymore. They have a son named Sam who's heading off to college, and Sam wants them both to take him to school. They decide together, at the request of our hero, to take one last road trip together, just the two of them after dropping off their son, to see if they can reconcile. Now, I should also mention that there are some mysterious letters that are passed back and forth at the beginning of this book, which I know for many of you is catnip. This is a gorgeous book, perfect for spring or summer. If you want to take a road trip in a book, we're treated to Southern California's many gorgeous locales as these two come back to one another. It's so beautiful. The love scenes literally made me cry. You just can't ask for more, except for the fact that I know there are going to be more books in this series, and I will be first in line to read them right after I finish the rest of her backlist. My other 5-star will be no surprise to most of you. It's a reread by Lisa Kleypas, Married by Morning, book 4 of the Hathaways series, where my fabulous Leo, yes, he's my man, everyone, he finally gets his redemption arc completed. We saw him at the beginning of the Hathaways series, Mine Till Midnight, a broken man, and through the course of the series, we see him slowly coming back to himself, the hilarious, endearing rake that he is, and meeting his match in Catherine, who is the governess tasked with taking care of some incredible sisters of his. It's been so much fun throughout the series watching the two of them spar and seeing them finally find lasting love in one another, and Leo especially, who just, I wanted him to find it so badly. Oh, I could read this book every year. It just will never get old. The whole series, really. I have 2 4.5-star books to tell you about. Both of them were just shy of perfect, but still amazing. And so I'm really, really extra excited to talk to you about them. This first one is Anna Harrington's If the Duke Demands, which is book 1 of the Capturing the Carlyles series. I fell so hard for these Carlyles that I wound up buying the Christmas prequel after finding out that it's actually a spin-off from another series, which now I also need to read. This one, If the Duke Demands, is one that our Tea and Biscuits book club voted for before, and I'm so thankful they did. For many of you, it was already a reread, and yet you still chose to read it again, and I totally understand why. So what happens is Clara decides she's gonna take the bull by the horns and show Robert that she really loves him. She's had a crush on him forever, and one day at a house party, a masked ball type house party, she, wearing a mask, goes into Robert's room and tries to seduce him. Only it's not Robert. It's his older brother, Sebastian. From there, it gets especially crazy. They agree to host Clara in her first ever season. She is just a farmer's daughter, whereas the rest of the family, the Carlyles, they're aristocrats. So Sebastian is really trying not to show that he's now interested in her, realizing that she's more of a woman than he ever thought. And after their first night of togetherness, he's very enraptured with her. But he can't because, for one, he's supposed to be helping her catch his brother, and he needs to find a society miss who's really gonna stand up to the job of being his wife. Such gorgeous scenes for some of the love scenes, or just in general, opera houses, the woods in Vauxhall. I just enjoyed it so much. I found it to be different, refreshing, so much fun, and I cannot wait to read more Anna Harrington. Do you ever worry that your favorite author can never write a new book that's as good as the ones in her backlist? Well, I've felt that way about Eloisa James. I've read many of her newer published works, and I wasn't sure if they were ever going to hold up to things like When Beauty Tamed the Beast. Her publicity team reached out to me recently and gave me Hardly a Gentleman, which really, really knocked it out of the park. We have an incredibly fierce and endearing heroine who has a knockdown drag out with a prince at a ball. Her mother exiles her, and instead of getting on the coach she's supposed to live with her aunt forever, she decides at the last minute to hop on a stagecoach headed for a castle in the Highlands, which is where she meets our hero, who's kind of a mess and his castle's falling apart. She, however, is determined, despite the fact that she's never cleaned a day in her life, to pretend to be his housekeeper. What follows is steamy, fun, flirty. Oh my gosh. It was sort of like watching a Disney movie in that we have a heroine that's so charming. You cannot help but love her. She gets a whole cast of characters flocking to her, and the banter and chemistry between these two characters was better than just about anything I've read in recent memory. It was so fun watching them fall for each other and then try to deny their feelings. I had a blast. This is going to be a comfort read for me for sure. I'll be reading this over and over and over again. The ending didn't quite stick the landing the way I needed it to, otherwise it would have gotten a perfect 5 stars. But I'm telling you guys, if you're looking for a new Eloisa James that delivers, this is the ticket. I thought we could enjoy some spring rain together as I bring you my 4-star reads for the month of April. The first one is an Audible original that was voted by my channel members, actually. It's only 2 hours and 40 minutes long. It's called Coming Home by Kennedy Ryan. I can't believe this is my very first Kennedy Ryan ever, and I was very impressed with what she was able to do in such a short amount of time. We have a journalist who is excited for his daughter's homecoming game. She's actually going to be the homecoming queen at his former alma mater, so he comes back to see her, but he's full of regret because he's barely been part of her life as he's been traveling around the world as a world-renowned journalist. During his trip back to college, he actually meets a former could-have-been flame friend from his college days who is now a successful journalist in her own right. As they embark on an interview together and some time spent together, they ask the question, should we have tried something out? There was sizzling chemistry, great conversation, and a swoon-worthy ending. I can't wait to read more Kennedy Ryan. Another 4-star was His Maddening Matchmaker by Virginia Heath. I hadn't read her yet either, and I was so excited to give her a go. This is a Harlequin romance, my first ever Harlequin as well, and this one is set in a quiet village that has farmers as the main characters, which I was really excited to see. Typically, when I read historical romance, it's all glittering ballrooms in London, but this gave us a taste of working class people, the struggles they face, and the small village where everyone's kind of a busybody. This one was too cute for words, though. I just love the dynamics between our hero and heroine. Our heroine decides she's going to match up our hero with the perfect match, hence the maddening matchmaker. But as she and he spend more time together talking about what would be perfect for him, maybe he realizes she's the perfect person for him after all. There was a lot of great character growth in this. It was very low spice for the most part, except until towards the end. But I really, really liked the deep connection that the two of them had and the easy camaraderie, which was really unique and refreshing. So I'm excited to read more of this series and read more Virginia Heath in general. Oh, The Love Haters. That was another one I gave 4 stars to. This is Catherine Center's new release coming out May 20th. It was a wild ride. I think my family thought that I had lost it. I read this in one day while I had COVID, and man, did it make me forget all about COVID. There is so much that goes on. We have a woman who is a documentary filmmaker. She is sent down to the Florida Keys to film a Coast Guard rescue diver, which is in and of itself very exciting. But there's secrecy surrounding why she's the one going, what's going on in her company. She's afraid actually that she's about to lose her job. And so she's really hoping to hit it off with this curmudgeonly, grumpy rescue diver who is too perfect for words. There are more twists and turns than you can shake a stick at. I had my jaw dropping multiple times. I can't honestly tell you much more than that because I think part of the fun is just not knowing what's going to happen. So I found this to be a lot of fun, and as always, I look forward to the next Catherine Center next spring. My final 4-star was written by Anna Holguin, who we actually had the pleasure of having her on our morning show. She came on with a brief video explaining the plot, and it's so charming at that. We have a journalist and a famous personal trainer. He wants to get to understand what exactly it is that she does and why she's famous for exercising, essentially. I also really enjoyed the mental health rep that was found within the pages, as well as the slow burn. I loved the hero too, and I found this to be a very solid, very satisfying contemporary romance. I have 2 3.5-star reads. Let's talk about them right now. My first one was Not So Fast by Karen Booth, which is a book by Harlequin. So I read 2 Harlequins this month for the very first time. I found this to be really charming. We have a woman who is a Formula One junkie. She has her own podcast, and her favorite driver is one that she begins ribbing on her show, and then her show blows up because of her sarcastic comments, and she gets noticed to the point where his colleague actually flies her out. She then meets him, and sparks fly almost immediately. I found this to be really fun. He is a doll. I didn't find him to be super fleshed out. He's very much a golden retriever, and that's, lovely, but I didn't feel like I got a sense of him more than that, because he really just kind of takes a liking to her pretty rapidly, despite the fact that she's been ripping him a new one, essentially. And she wasn't always as nice as I would have hoped, but he was lovely. The plot was very interesting. I loved the different locales. We spent some time in the English countryside, who would have thought? And of course, there's a lot of racing involved. So I really had a good time with this, and I would recommend it. Danger, romance, sock puppets. That's what you get, literally, in the other 3.5-star book that I read last month, which was called The Trouble with Inventing a Viscount. Liars Club Book 2 by Vivian Loret. This was my first Vivian Loret, and I have to say, for about half of it, it felt more like historical fiction as opposed to historical romance, which is fine. I do wonder, let me know if you've read Vivian Loret and what you think of her, because I don't really have anything to compare it to. The humor didn't always hit for me, although it is pretty funny. The backstories were very well developed to the point of almost overshadowing the romance and the characters' relationship, which was something I don't tend to see too often in historical romance. It's not a criticism per se, but it's not personally my favorite. I loved this cast of characters, which again, we get a lot of this ensemble cast to the point where it felt sort of like an Agatha Christie novel, because there is mystery here. Let me explain what's going on. We have a woman who needs to get married. She doesn't want to get married. She invents a viscount who one day a gentleman shows up at her door. He is a ne'er-do-well, and he's ready to take that money. She realizes what kind of man he is and that he's backed her into a corner. But there is, as I said, a huge cast of characters that have a vested interest in him leaving. They all want him gone because they want the money that would go to the actual Viscount. So they don't want him there. The ending was very surprising but satisfying, and overall I would recommend this. Let's talk about another book 2 in a series. This is The Lucky Ladies of London Book 2, A Lady's Guide to London by Faye Delacour. I was so grateful when she sent me books 1 and 2. 1 I'm dying to read and I've heard fabulous things about, but I read book 2 because it came out in April. I wanted to be able to do a review around the time that it was released. This was a 3-star for me. It was middle of the road. We have a woman that co-owns a ladies gambling club in London. They're not doing as well as she would hope so she wants to get them into the London guidebook. However, they don't feel that it's appropriate to put in the Gentleman's Guidebook to London, so she decides to write her own just for ladies. And we have a reluctant gentleman who is tasked with helping her do just that. He is the writer and editor of the Gentleman's Guidebook, so the two of them go around London. This was my favorite part probably, as they're traveling around London together, building a camaraderie eventually, because of course they're enemies initially, but they develop a kinship. I didn't get enough of the emotional feels as much as the chemistry. I was also hoping to have a little more fun though than I did. This book is rife with struggles and frustrations on parts of both of the people. They have really interesting backstories, just a lot of things that they're upset about. The ending was satisfying but felt a little rushed. But overall, if this sounds like an interesting plot for you, I would give it a try. The second of my 3-star books last month was Tell Me How You Really Feel by Betty Caillouette. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This is a second chance romance between two people that have a relationship podcast that then goes viral. So they have to, despite the fact that they now hate one another, work together, get over their pasts to see if maybe they can make their podcast bigger than ever, but also heal their relationship. I found this book to be about as riveting as it was frustrating. Second chance romance is so difficult because the author has to have a reasonable reason as to why this couple broke up, but then also want us to root for them to get back together. I didn't care for the hero enough to really root for that. And the misunderstanding trope gets on my nerves a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. I loved the anxiety and mental health rep that was woven throughout, as well as the positivity about therapy and mental health. So important. I thought this was a solid rom-com overall, and if you haven't given her a shot yet, see if this is for you. My third 3-star book is Wake Up Nat and Darcy. This is a sapphic rom-com set in the world of the morning show on television, which is what drew me to it. I was so excited. But we actually have a former Olympian, hockey players, both of them, who had a brief fling in college. One is still harboring resentment towards the other. But guess what? Now they have to work together on zany and very fun segments of their morning show. Can they put the past behind them and succeed in both love and career? You have to read to find out. Editor B coming at you from my messy desk that I need to clean, and I'm going to. Anyway, it just occurred to me that I didn't explain why I gave this the rating that I did. Some of my issues that kept it from being a higher rating, just that it didn't seem like their relationship in college, as brief as it was, warranted the types of stress that they were putting themselves through later on. And also, you didn't really get a sense of why they were good for one another either. So for me, it's all about the emotion and the connection, and I just felt that that was the thing that was sort of lacking from this. But again, it was overall a good time. My last 3-star book is Behooved. This was YA fantasy. Well, actually, no, I thought it was a YA because so much of it feels like a YA. The characters never felt like super developed, and everything was sort of surrounding the way that their parents felt about them, which is more something that I tend to see in a YA. But no, there's some spicy times in this. I'd forgotten that. So maybe it's new adult. We have a woman who has to go to her neighboring kingdom as a bride because it's the only way to secure safety between these two countries. Her groom-to-be is not happy about it. Clearly we have an enemies to lovers, but on their wedding night, something goes wrong. Someone's out to get them, and through some magic, her spouse becomes a horse, but only during the day. At night, he's a real person. They go through many trials on their road trip as mysteries are uncovered, and of course, the chemistry gets boiling hot. I found this just to be middle of the road. Becky of Bex Reads and I actually talked about this. Sorry, we have bugs already. Yay! She actually rated it exactly the same way that I did. It's not very memorable. It's very cookie cutter in terms of fantasy, exactly what you'd expect, but not as much world building or fantastical things as I was hoping for, and even the road trip wasn't quite as fun. It was certainly an interesting read, which is why I gave it 3 stars, and I need to get some bug spray. I had the pleasure of buddy reading Double Pucked with Kristen and Sock, and it was interesting. It was my very first Why Choose, and I don't know why I thought Why Choose basically meant that she would have 2 boyfriends, like separately, and go on dates with just both of them, and just be like, hey, I've got 2 boyfriends. I didn't realize they would be doing things together at the same time. This was not quite for me, especially the emotionless experimentation. I mean, it's fine, I guess. I just don't really feel like I need to be privy to it. Unless there's a lot of emotion tied to it, it just doesn't do a lot for me. We have 2 hockey players who both fall for a gal who takes the VIP passes from her boyfriend after he cheats on her. And they decide to help her in the way that she needs to be helped. It was kind of insane. And a lot of it was just sort of over the top in terms of problems that they were facing. I think it's just meant to be more of a light read. Certain problems really didn't seem like problems. And then other things like, I'm a hero because I donate the books I buy to the library after I've read them. Yes, you're a hero. Just stuff like that. Low stakes, but it acted like high stakes. I just ended up laughing a lot. Not that I was necessarily supposed to, so. It was different. And I really love the narrators. It was duet also, so you get all the voices, which could be a good thing or not. My 2-star was I'll Look For You Everywhere by Cameron Capello. This one was a lot of angst, a lot of stress. I was hoping for a beautiful wedding featured Italian setting, and it turned out just to be a lot of struggle and strife between a couple that was trying to figure it out. And then it just sort of devolved into the kind of love scenes that didn't really do it for me, I would say. I guess because I just never connected with the characters. If you read it and enjoyed it, do let us know in the comments. I'm always happy to hear new thoughts. Hey, Editor B coming at you. I'm always wary of including my DNFs because I just don't want it to seem like I'm complaining. I always have the utmost respect for authors who put out their work. I want to respect their book babies. And in each of the cases of the DNFs that I'm about to describe, these were advanced readers' copies that I found that I didn't find myself connecting to for different reasons. One of them also was triggering to me, and I found that the best way to serve the author and readers was to stop reading and not rate the book. I reviewed all of these on Goodreads, but I didn't give them a rating. I chose not to finish because I could tell the book ultimately just wasn't for me. So here we are with hopefully what does not just seem like complaining. And now for a quick roundup of the 4 books that I didn't wind up finishing or DNFing in the month of April. The first one is Rules for Second Chances by Maggie North. I was really excited about this because we have a neurodivergent heroine who is trying to find her own way in the world. Of course, there's someone mowing the lawn right now. I don't have time to do this any other time. I'm so sorry. They started literally as I started talking. Anyway, this neurodivergent heroine is trying to make her way in the world, and in order to do that, she's trying to really overhaul her life to include breaking things off with her husband. I had a great deal of difficulty connecting with this heroine. It has nothing to do with the neurodivergence. I've read many other characters who are neurodivergent who I've been able to connect with. She just doesn't seem to be realistic in terms of the expectations of her job, and certainly her husband is a beautiful human being who would be more than happy, I think, to accommodate her, and yet she has just sort of blown him off. And the only thing she seems to miss is the physical aspect of the relationship, which just, I don't know, it just felt disappointing to me. I was just hoping for more. If you've read it though and you enjoyed it, do let us know. My next DNF was another decent read. It just didn't grip me for whatever reason. We have 2 gentlemen in Fall for Him, which, oh my gosh, the cover. I went crazy when I saw this cover. But then as I was reading it, the more I went on, I just wasn't feeling enthralled at all. Each time I went back to it, I was just like doing it because I was supposed to, not because I was eager to see what was going to happen. We have a man who falls through the ceiling of his apartment building right into the apartment of the other gentleman of our story. And I guess sparks are supposed to fly. And interestingly, you see another couple, a happy couple in this book whose story is actually being published next, but it was written first. So it seems kind of strange to me in the timeline where we're seeing this very happy sapphic couple who hasn't had their story released yet. I just didn't connect for whatever reason. But again, hopefully if you've read it, you've had a great experience. Don't let my lack of enthusiasm for this text dissuade you. I also DNF'd The Hot Henry Effect. This is one that I have stopped and started numerous times, and each time I decided I was going to finish it because I had the arc, and then I saw that there were other people that had also chosen to stop reading, and I thought, okay, well, I guess I could do that too, and hopefully no one will be mad at me. The humor did not work for me at all. There were her really uncomfortable things in the workplace. The way that she was being treated I just didn't care for it. That actually brings me to my next DNF, which is playing flirty. Now, I had the pleasure of interviewing this author not too long ago on my channel. I adore her. She's fantastic. This book, however, did not wind up working for me. I really felt protective of our heroine though, which is what kind of upset me and led me to stop reading. She is in an escalating, toxic workplace environment, which appears to be setting her up for assault in the workplace. It's very uncomfortable. And she and everyone else in the book is just sort of like, well, which in this day and age, it's not okay. Even more, and this is what finally led me to DNFing the book, we have her best friend who is going to be getting married, and her best friend is essentially forcing her to take pole dancing classes with the idea that they are going to do pole dancing for the members of the groom's party. And our heroine is uncomfortable, and she's being pushed into this by her friend, and I just found this to be disrespectful. I don't think anyone should have to do anything that they find uncomfortable just because they're in the wedding party. So yeah, there's a lot of disrespect happening to our heroine, and my assumption is that all gets cleared up, but for me, it was just sort of triggering, making me anxious. I just did not care for it at all. So I had to DNF, but I know others of you who read this and enjoyed it, so I'm glad to hear that because I really want the best for this author and I want to see her shine. Well, those were my books. I really enjoyed all the reading I got to do in April. And I appreciated it even more when I wasn't feeling well. How about you? How was your reading last month? Let us know in the comments. I know we'd all love to see. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is you're reading, regardless of what month it is. Until next time, thanks so much. Take care. Bye.